producer David Parkinson has been CBS News weather producer David Parkinson has been tracking the storm and joins us now. So, David, what has changed just over the past few hours?
So we are now at a Category 3, a high-end 3, which is to say 125 miles an hour. So that's your difference between 125 and 130. Functionally, they're no different if you get hit with...
So it was initially Cat 4,
Correct.
to be clear. Now they're saying Cat 3. Why the difference?
So the storm's weakening a little bit in terms of just its structure. It's running into some problems. To be honest, it was never the deepest looking storm ever. But here's the two main takeaways. One, the wind was never the main concern about the storm, and it shouldn't be the main concern about the storm. If you are hearing 4 to 3 and you are thinking I don't need to evacuate, you're misunderstanding why you need to evacuate. You don't need to evacuate from the wind. You need to evacuate from the water.
So it's not the direct hit that's the issue. It's the days following that could be
correct. It's before the direct hit, during the direct hit, and after the direct hit, right? Yeah. So as we take a look at the cone and where this thing goes, you see that little jog down into South Carolina. That's the big problem, because all that while you're getting water that's hitting into the bays, the sounds, the rivers of the tidewater of North Carolina, and that's where you're getting that life-threatening storm surge. But as you can see, you're looking at 120 mile an hour wind. I think that 145 is going to be a tough nut to crack. I don't think we're getting back to 145 tomorrow, but that 120 on Friday is certainly plausible. But as you can see, it's right along the coast with 100 mile an hour winds. You start taking down trees at 60, you start blowing out windows at 100. There's still plenty of places that are going to be seeing wind damage, but that's not the main concern.
What are you most concerned about?
It's absolutely the storm surge. So the storm surge we're talking about 15 feet potentially of storm surge. Here's the interesting thing about where the storm surge is the worst, right? So if we go back to a look at the track of this storm here, you can see I drew a couple of lines here. If this storm makes a more northerly track, if you will. That would mean that most of the storm surge gets thrown into these areas. That means your Greenvilles, your New Berns, they're going to be most affected, and it's going to be devastating. Here's the thing. If more of these areas, more of these tracks, right, the lower two tracks get followed, A, you might not have that primary landfall until Sunday, but that's not important. B, now that you get more of the storm surge into this little pocket here, right, the pocket that includes Jacksonville, that includes Wilmington, and that's where you have more of a population. So
it gets so confusing sometimes, David. Right. So when we're looking sort of just out the next 24 hours, what do people really need to be concerned about?
So over the next 24 hours, the winds will pick up. So I think by the time we go, Jeff is on Evening News tomorrow. Jeff Glor is on Evening News tomorrow. You're looking at winds probably in the 40, 50 mile an hour range, and the rain is beginning. And then it just goes downhill from there. So the wind picks up, the rain rates increase, and then all of that water gets shoved on into those areas. So that's that 15 feet of storm surge plus that 15 to 30 inches of rain, and that's a low ball. I think a 30 plus is very likely there. And that wind number, even though we're bringing it down from a 130, you could have a gust to 130 reasonably. That is my number 3 concern, and that's why you're seeing that there.
Very interesting, and a good point. Our Jeff Glor is on the ground there with the CBS Evening News tonight. We'll have more. We've got a team of reporters fanned out.
And you know, we're keeping them very safe, and the key message that we're saying is if you're on the water, you need to make sure that you're on a higher ground because that's the key. And if you are not a news crew, just get away from the ocean.
Good advice. David Parkinson, thank you for joining us.
Sure thing.
All right, first I'd like to start by saying all praise to Yahweh Shema Shai, Ba'ashim Kakadash, double honors to the elders and apostles that rule well, and salutations to the brothers that's doing the truth and sincerity. As you can see, the Lord got the Hurricane Florence coming up the East Coast, which is prophecy. This is Isaiah chapter 29, verse 6. Thou shalt be visited of the Lord of hosts with thunder and with earthquake and great noise and with storm and with tempest, right? And that's a type of a storm and tempest. And the flame of devouring fire, which that storm and tempest brought flooding. I seen something where they said there was multiple deaths. But I'm going to play a couple more clips